Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and it is a snowy Tuesday in Minnesota. It's cold, but you know what? The cold doesn't bother me anymore. We know you've heard that before, right? Frozen, for those that don't know. It shouldn't bother you anymore because there's so much more to be bothered by in Minnesota. You got your quarterback issues. You got your receiver maybe not happy. You got your offensive coordinator. What does he do for the offense? And you got your head coach that talks about dumbing down the offense, fixing the quarterback, and the season is pretty much over. So you can see all the problems, and we're going to break down each problem and how can it be fixed this season. But I want everybody to know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. So if you want to get right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. And again, just go to FanDuel.com, go to the app. It's really simple, people. I would joke around and say the easy bet, is betting on the Vikings to lose. But even betting on the Vikings to cover nowadays is kind of weird because you don't know which team is going to show up. And as I bring my producer to the show, Sam Ekstrom, I know which team is going to show up for us, right? This is the team of Ron and Sam, and we're about to break down the issues of the Minnesota Vikings. And before we jump into the issue, Sam, let's talk about, let's praise them first because, with all discipline, because you discipline your kids, right? You got to tell them what not to do. Don't touch this. Don't hit your brother. Don't throw the dog, whatever it is, right? But you got to praise them first. Hey, you did a really good job cleaning your room. Hey, I'm so happy you ate your dinner, but can you try not to stab your sibling with a fork, or can you try not to be rude? So look, let's praise them first before we kind of reprimand the Minnesota Vikings. So praising them, right? Dallas Cowboys, all but eliminated from the playoffs because of the Vikings. The Vikings were eliminated before the game started. And sometimes when that happens, Sam, and I've seen this in the NFL, when teams are eliminated before their game even starts, you start to see a lot of deactivations or healthy scratches or guys that are hurt that are going to fight through for the team. But now it's like, well, why am I fighting through if it doesn't matter? Let me get to this offseason so I can be back by OTAs and minicamp, because we heard Jonathan Gennard, shoulder, couldn't do anything worse to it. So it's like, hey, just let's put a little brace on it. Let's keep it at, 50% mobility. Because you can change the length and width of how far you can go and all that stuff. So I don't know what percentage they were trying to keep him under with rotational turn. But whatever it was, he went too far, because that left arm, it's a reaction, right? Guy comes by you. You're not thinking, man, my shoulder is absolutely, like, my rotator cuff is torn or whatever it might be. I gotta do this for my team. He reaches, boom, you see it automatically go dead. He's like, come get me. We saw Josh Metellus last week do that. He reached for a guy and then his arm went dead. Hey, it's something's not right. It's out, or hey. And then he came back in the game last week. But this past week against Dallas, like, that's what I wonder now, Sam, is how many people like Christian Darrisaw, are gonna
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah, are just gonna say, you know what, like, if I do anything. Because, again, people keep saying 12 months for an ACL, right? 12 months is when, not that you're fully healthy, 12 months is when you start to kind of feel like yourself, right? And he came back before that because he was back for training camp and out there doing all the stuff. And he was back for a little bit of preseason. He was back for a little bit of the season this year. He's been in and out. But he never got to that 12-month mark, right? Everybody's not Adrian Peterson. Everybody keeps talking about Adrian Peterson and how quick he came back, and then he, had a historic season. Yeah, he was a freak of nature. Everybody doesn't have that, in their body where they get just snap back and they're ready to go. And so when you look at all these players, Christian Darrisaw, Jonathan Gennard, Brian O'Neill, Josh Metellus, Theo Jackson, how many guys are struggling with injury? Like, I know Harrison Smith, he wants to go out the best way he can. Interceptions, let me get a pick six maybe. Let me do this for my home crowd. This might be it. Could be potentially the end, right? Because that's what Adam Thielen was hoping for. Like, let me be great at the end. And now, looking at the Minnesota Vikings, here's the first thing before, and we'll jump in this next segment too, but I do want to hit on Adam Thielen in the next segment, so remind me to do that because there's something to that too. But for the Dallas win, let's go into this, right? The Minnesota Vikings came out the gate as we stated they should. Fast throws, quick throws, still under 3 seconds in release time. Last week was like 2.5-ish, 2.7, which means quick game, throwing the ball quick, getting the ball out of his hands quick. First to second progression reads, not the long developing play action, 7-step drop. Let Justin Jefferson run a stutter, post, go, curl, come back, take off. We're not doing all that. You're letting them read the defense. And in the pregame show, I do my 3-minute drill, and that was the biggest thing, was the pure progression read. For those listening on the podcast, thank you. Wherever you get your podcasts, iHeartMedia, Spotify, Apple, iPad. I can't even get it out. Oh man, Apple iTunes, wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for listening. But those who are watching on YouTube, you understood what I just did. So for those listening, I did the air quotes, right? Because pure progressions. The reason I say that is because I feel like it's just progression read, but everybody wants to create new sexy names and buzzwords. Pure progression is the new buzzword, right? It took over Twitter for a while. It took over press conferences for a little bit. I don't know if it's dead, if it got its 15 minutes of fame, and we're going to move on. But I broke down just progression read, right? And one of the plays was an over kind of play action, naked boot, flood is what I would call it, by the Las Vegas Raiders. And the read was corner out by Bowers. Had a step. If I'm a quarterback, I might want to take that, right? That's Brock Bowers. He's got a step on the linebacker after a play action. I can easily get a nice 30, 40-yard chunk play. But the percentage of completing that is low. As I keep rolling, I see my receiver in the flat because he's run the over route from the backside, but a shallow at about 5 yards. Well, that's the throw Geno Smith takes. Why? Because there's nobody in front of that receiver. If he catches it on the run, the guy behind him can't make the play because it was a linebacker. He gets 30 yards a yak, yards after catch. You had your third progression in that, which was the backside dig route, but he kind of ran like an over. That's just pure progression, right? You're reading 1 to 2 to 3. So when that happens in these games, Dallas, Commanders, maybe this is just the NFC East. Maybe they're just going to run through because they got the Giants next. Maybe this is just an NFC East exorcism, right? Let's just exorcise all the demons of the season on the NFC East. Because now you got the Giants. I didn't even realize it played out that way. Commanders, Cowboys, Giants in a row. Like you just put the NFC East in a row and say, hey, let's just knock them all down. And you got a wounded Giants team walking into the building. You had a wounded Commanders team. You had a Dallas Cowboys team that I don't know what you call them. That defense was wounded, even though I guess they were hurt. You had Trayvon Diggs out. You had some other guys out. Mm-hmm. Quentin Williams ends up getting hurt.
Yeah.
But when you think about the way the Vikings offense is played, Sam, and here's where I go with this. The Dallas Cowboys weren't good. The Commanders, defensively. The offense was good. Commanders, not good. Giants, I mean, can we say not good? So when you look at this, the team as a whole, though, I guess. But when you look at this, Sam, like how much of these stretch, right? This is a J.J. McCarthy stretch of 3 games. Mm-hmm. Can we really celebrate this? But let's, before we answer that, let's talk about the Dallas win. They got the ball out their hands fast. The defense did their job. They held CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens to under 10 catches total combined, which has not been an easy task for teams because they do throw a lot of quick game stuff. The Vikings went quick game. I saw Justin Jefferson run a slant for the first time in I don't know how long. And J.J. McCarthy threw a fastball, kept him from getting his ribs blown out. Sam, when you see that win, mm-hmm. Can they replicate this speed of game? Because they did beat the Lions already, right?
Right.
But can they replicate this speed of game? But they beat the Lions. Was that a J.J. McCarthy or was that a Carson Wentz?
That was McCarthy. That was a McCarthy game.
So can they replicate? And that's the thing. Do you go back to how you beat the Lions, which kind of wasn't always good, but it just worked out that game? Or do you go with this new quick game stuff? But to the Dallas Cowboys point, because we got a lot of questions we can answer, but to the Dallas Cowboys point, Sam, they did win the game. Was there anything in that game that you saw that's transferable to Lions and Packers?
Yeah, it's a good question. I felt like the Cowboys win and the Commanders win were a little different offensively. I didn't feel like they needed to do too much in the Commanders game, and they didn't. kept it really simple. Cowboys game, you didn't have the luxury of playing with a huge lead. You actually had to keep scoring, and the Cowboys, for what it's worth, I know they're pretty porous defensively. They were trying to get pressure, right? I mean, you had Deron Bland locking down Justin Jefferson. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Like, there were still challenges that you faced, and you had to get some shot plays in. The touchdown to Naylor, shot play. Deep ball to Addison, shot play. The seam to Hawkinson over the middle, shot play. Like, you needed some big plays downfield to score 34 points. And he accomplished that. So he wins on the road, check. 2 straight good games, check. Wins a high-scoring game, check. Like, I think that this game checked a lot of boxes, and can it transfer to Detroit and Green Bay? Well, he's already proven it against Detroit, right? And in that game, he'll probably have to deal with a lot more pressure in his lap. Didn't get sacked against Dallas. Against Green Bay, no more Parsons, so that probably helps matters. But I think the question is how will he stay that poised, Ron, if there's a tremendous amount of pressure on him? Because when he is pressured, that's when stuff breaks down. That's when the bad decisions happen. The back foot throws, tipped balls. When we saw it in the Dallas game, right? Someone got clean pressure on him, tipped ball, deflection, ricochet, pinball, interception. So can he sustain that performance with pressure in his face?
And the thing about it, though, is again, so we can fast forward, I guess you want to say, to Packers-Lions, right? That's what everybody wants to see. Christmas, you got Lions, and you got Packers to end the season. You could play spoiler to the Lions, like you knock quote unquote, you technically knock the Cowboys out. But you could really put a hamper or a damper, sorry, not hamper, damper in the Lions season. But here's the thing. When you look at the Giants, because I don't have my glasses on, so I had to kind of zoom in and look. When you look at the Giants, right, points per game, they are 29th. You look at the Giants run game, they are 31st. You look at pass yards, and this is why this feels like this might be, not say a scapegoat, but this might be another, like, we don't need J.J. McCarthy game, because the passing defense, 228 yards. Now, part of it is because the teams are just running the ball down their throat. They're like, look, you can't stop the run. You're built to get after the quarterback. Like, when you look at, what was it, Abdul Carter, and the guys they bought in, and the way they were trying to say, you know what, we want to recreate that stray hand, Omi Usunora, like that aggressive, just absolutely get after the quarterback defense. Okay, you have that. Kind of, right? You have the bodies, you have the weapons that you talked about you wanted on defense, but you still just can't get after the quarterback. Like, you have to stop the run, and that's what they're not doing. And so if Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason can have themselves a day, again, we're back to this. They don't need J.J. McCarthy to do anything but maybe 225 to 250 yards passing. I'd say more in the 225 range. This might be another one of those 190 16 for 24, 190 yards. And yet again, Justin Jefferson on a 40-yard game. And that's where I think a lot of people are frustrated is, why is it so hard to scheme up? Like, you're getting Jalen Naylor wide open. Now, again, he is Jalen Naylor. Eyes aren't staring at him. He's getting man coverage. Justin Jefferson's getting bracketed. He's getting watched. When they put the guy on, they're going to put their best cornerback on him. That's the frustrating thing, I think, when you look at the Minnesota Vikings is the Cowboys game was won. But it's one of those, did we lose the battle to win the war? Which the battle you lost is Justin Jefferson. Like, you're losing the Justin Jefferson battle, but you're winning the war. Now, again, winning the war is the whole point of life, right? Win the large fights, give up the little fights. But I don't know how little of a battle Justin Jefferson really is. It feels like it's like war and war. It's like two wars within themselves. Like Jordan Mason not running the ball and Aaron Jones not running the ball. That's a battle. Dallas Turner, having to now start and Grenard being out at this point just seems like a battle. Like, we got to get Dallas Turner, which, and to end the season, not to say you wanted Grenard to be hurt. I think Grenard might have, unless he had like an escalator or something he needed, because I know Theo Jackson has one, which he hasn't, if I'm not mistaken, he has not had an interception this game, right? Or this season, Theo Jackson.
I mean, the team hasn't had many at all, so I don't think he has.
No, because his thing, I think his thing was to get paid more money. He had to have like 2 interceptions, which coming off of a Cam Bynum season, it seemed like that was like for his agent probably. It seems like that was probably an easy one to put in there. Sure. Like, oh yeah, man, my guy's gonna be starting in the Cam Bynum role. Yeah, let's go 2 picks, and I'll give him $1 million or $500,000. I don't know what the number is, but hasn't gotten a pick. Right, he has 3 games left. Can he go on an end of the year terror where he ends up getting 2 to 3 picks a game to get his bonus? Because at this point, doesn't look good, right? Cam Bynum slowed down too, though. Let's not veer. Cam Bynum was an early adopter of interceptions, and then we haven't seen a lot of Cam Bynum, choreographed dances as of late. So it was like kind of like a flash in the pan early in the season, and now it's kind of like, okay, teams are realizing this Cam Bynum kid is pretty good. We can't ignore where he's lined up. But when you look at the way you think about making sure the team wins the war, which battles are the most important? And that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment, because there's a lot of battles within this organization, because the war of game is won. The war of the season, it's done. Like it's a war you're not going to win. You're not going to the playoffs. So does human nature take over? Do you get selfish with some of these guys with bonuses? Or do you just keep trying to make your quarterback better and play it the way you're supposed to play it? We'll talk about all that and much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show. We'll do it after a word from our sponsors.
And our very fine sponsor today is FanDuel. FanDuel, things move fast in the NFL on Sunday. Let's just be honest about that. The day starts at noon. You're watching the noon games. There's like 8 of them going on. One big play. Suddenly everything feels different. And if you've got the FanDuel Sportsbook app in the palm of your hand, live betting makes Sunday afternoons pretty exciting. You're not just watching the game. You're reacting to it in real time. Next touchdown score. Get some juicy odds on that. Drive results. Live props, live spreads, live money lines, all available at FanDuel. So when you feel the game start to shift, you feel like the defense is tightening up in the second half, hammer that under. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
Well, Sam, Justin Jefferson, right? So to pay off the beginning, though, Dallas Cowboys, they got the win. Great job. They kind of held the Cowboys at bay. They beat the Commanders. We talked about the NFC East. You got the Giants coming up. It was a great team victory. They did show some promise with J.J. McCarthy hitting his 200. Was that the best he's done this season? 250? Is that the top number?
Yeah, you've been on. You kept telling us 248 was the high. So I think
so 250.
I think we topped it. Yeah.
So he has a new PR personal record, 250. We like to see a 300er before the season's over. I don't know if we'll get there because you got the Lions and Packers defense coming into town. Giants, their pass defense is not bad. Their run defense sucks. But could that be the way to their hearts? You run it down their throat and then you play action dagger them, which is like Kevin O'Connell's dream. Because if you want to give yourself a Christmas gift, Kevin O'Connell, this is the game to work on some of that stuff. One, the season's over. So that's my point, Sam. The season is over. You don't want to give the fans terribleness at home, right? You don't want the fans coming to the games and being like, what is this? You don't want the fans showing up on Christmas and they're like, what is he doing? And I say that, here's where I say this to say. Is he just going to let J.J. McCarthy go back to what he wants him to be? Meaning, I need you to read the stuff. I need you to kill plays at the line. I need you to understand the defense pre-snap. I need you to do all my stuff so I can see if you're the quarterback of the future. Or do you keep building on what you're building on, which is maybe he is a quick game quarterback. Maybe he is a get the ball out of his hands quick quarterback like a Drew Brees, right? And then Drew Brees eventually matriculates down the field and then he kills you with something eventually. But it's just, think about all the Drew Brees games where it's like dig, curl, dig curl. I don't know if you watched the Lions Rams game. I watched it early on. One, I'm a Detroit guy, so I like to keep an eye on my guys just to see. But Matthew Stafford was kind of just basic, right? He was just getting the ball to Devontae Adams. He was just slowly picking apart guys. Puka Nacua. Here's, I saw him try to go to Tutu Atwell on a little quick over route. Same with Jared Goff. Hand the ball off. Little dump off throw. Let me get it to Amon St. Brown. Let me get it over here to this guy. Like, Jameson Williams on the shallow route. Like, it's very underneath routes, very quick. And I wonder, is Kevin O'Connell gonna maybe, because a tiger can't change their stripes, but maybe kind of just reel it in. And so here's the problem, right? Paying off the tees. Is the problem Kevin O'Connell? Is the problem Justin Jefferson? Or is the problem J.J. McCarthy? Or is it the quarterback coaches? Because Houston or Minnesota, there's a problem. There is a problem in Minnesota. And the first problem is Justin Jefferson not even sniffing 1,000 yards yet, right? He should have had 1,000 yards by week 10. That's 100 yards a game. That's a lot, Daz. By week 12, Sam, I'd say 12, 13. Like, he should have been 80 yards a game, 80 to 90 yards a game. The fact that he's had some 22-yarders, some absolute shutout first quarters and not even getting a sniff of a target, getting 12 like 8 targets and 2 catches. There's a problem. So that is a problem. One, he might be to the media super nice, not saying anything, not trying to be, a diva, AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs, he's not trying to be those guys. Terrell Owens, go way back to the Eagles, Donovan McNabb days for the older crowd that remembers that. Donovan McNabb being chased up and down the sideline by T.O. because T.O. wants to go off on him. And then they have a great game, and then they joke around with it and play around with it later, and they act like they're fighting, even though T.O. just had like two touchdowns. But, Justin Jefferson's not the guy. Yeah, he's sitting on the bench frustrated. He sits by himself sometimes frustrated. But he's not going to the media with like absolutely vitriol just to like tear a young quarterback apart, because that's what you don't want. Even the gritty, Kevin O'Connell's like, I'd like to see him just run into the end zone. One, the season's over, man. Like, what are we doing? Just get in the end zone. Like, you've had a terrible season. We've had a terrible offensive output. We're not going to the playoffs, and you want a gritty to the end zone. But, we heard Chris Collinsworth, that's the nasty right there. That's nasty. Yeah, that's the nasty J.J. McCarthy we've heard about. That's that attitude we've heard about. I don't want to hear about that. I don't want to hear about that. So, Sam, when you see the problem, if you had to rank the problem, J.J., Kevin, quarterback coach, let's go 4. Let's rank 4 people, right? Because, let's go 5. You got Wes Phillips. You got the quarterback coach, McCown. You got Kevin O'Connell. You got JJ. You got Justin. Of those 5, and I guess if you want to put Wes Phillips and McCown together, you could make the 5th the offensive line, right? Because that has something to do with the passing. Where do you rank those as the problem with this offense?
And so the problem being the overall offense, not strictly Jefferson, but just the overall offense. So let's start.
Yeah. So like, is because we know. So I guess I can give you the easy answer in my opinion. Jefferson's not the issue, so I'd say that's 5. So yeah. So the overall offense of Justin Jefferson's lack of production. So we are talking about Justin Jefferson's lack of production. Who is the problem? Because it's not Justin. It's not him. So who is the problem of those other 4? Because I would say Justin's 5 in this. He's not 1, but the other 4. Who's the problem with this?
I think McCarthy is the biggest problem. Not his fault. He's just young. He clearly needed the time. We're seeing him maybe turn a corner. We thought last year would count for something, and it didn't. So he's basically a rookie. It is McCarthy. Here's a good stat for you, Ron. In the Carson Wentz games this year, Justin Jefferson was on a 1,600-yard pace.
Ooh.
And he's not going to get 1,000 because of the 11 games. Maybe. Yeah. Got 56 a game the rest of the way. That's doable. Needs one big game. But that tells me that there's a difference between even Wentz, who was an average backup, and McCarthy, who is the rawest of raw rookies, quote unquote. So, yeah, Jefferson, bottom of the list for me. I think McCarthy, number 1, O'Connell, number 2, because it's his job to work with what he has. Number 3, though, sneaky, this offensive line. This offensive line has been a shadow of what it was supposed to be. This was supposed to be the biggest, nastiest line the Vikings have had in 15 years.
Yep.
And like you could count the snaps they've all played together on two hands, basically. The Darrison knee has been a huge problem for the continuity this season. And it worries me going forward, Ron, if he's got chronic knee stuff lingering from this surgery. I hope that 6 months of rest after this season will do him good, because he clearly is hurting and struggling. And I'm surprised, to be honest, they pushed him through this the way they have. So that's my number 3. And then after, you can toss Phillips in there. I guess he's part of the offensive room, but I don't think that's necessarily the be all end all. I think the buck has to stop with O'Connell.
Yeah. And so I like that. I would say probably around there. Like I would go J.J. McCarthy, offensive line, Kevin O'Connell, then Wes Phillips and Josh McCown. The only thing about Justin Jefferson, I will say, and again, it's a minuscule thing, right? The corner route that should have been caught for a touchdown. The fade route that should have been pulled in and he dropped it. The going across the middle, he dropped it. Like there have been some drops that I feel like back in the day, last season, start of the season, training camp, Justin Jefferson catches those. We know performance, right, is a part of your emotions. The way you feel is how you perform, right? If you don't feel good, Sam, if you're upset about something and your kids come downstairs and you are just exhausted, you're tired, you're not giving them the best of you. You're not giving them the Santa Claus Sam. You're giving them the Grinch Sam. You're going to do everything you need to do, and you have a heart under there. It's just not 10 sizes too small or whatever the thing is. I can't remember what it is with the Grinch, but it just hasn't, you haven't gotten your full grown heart yet, right? Justin Jefferson, I think, is he's not Grinch yet, right? If we had to do Grinch versus Santa Claus rankings, he's not Grinch just yet. He's somewhere in the middle. He's not Santa. He's not completely happy with everything going on. He's not cheery and passing on joy and cheer to everybody. Because like even Addison, right? I don't know if you saw that interview recently with Addison. He because I understand what happened, like Call of Duty. He tried to revive, Jalen Naylor when he got hurt. I don't know if you saw that,
Yep.
And so I get the joke around it. This is the era of kid we're in, video game kid, and Naylor joke talking about it didn't work. And then you hear people in the background saying, but he got up though. And then he's like, yeah, I guess I did get up. But he's like, it took more than just a one, revival medic pack or whatever. I don't even know how the game works, but I do know that's a part of the game. Like those are guys having fun, right? Because they're getting the ball. He had 2 touchdowns. He's able to have fun. You know who you didn't see in that? Justin Jefferson. He's not over there happy about them reviving each other after a touchdown. Now, is he mad? No, but he's not happy. He's like, this guy got 2 touchdowns. How come I couldn't get 2 touchdowns? This guy is getting, J.J. McCarthy's done more gritties than Justin Jefferson. Think about that. J.J. McCarthy, or maybe the same amount.
He has more touchdowns, right? Jefferson has two.
I think so.
And McCarthy's got 3. I
think we
think.
know McCarthy did the little bit of a gritty before. He did the gritty. I don't even know what you call that. He did the gritty this one. So I think maybe they're tied for the gritty because we've seen J.J. McCarthy do it before. But right, like J.J. McCarthy is gritty just as much as Justin Jefferson. I don't think anybody would have had that on their bingo card. Like who's going to have more gritties this season, Justin Jefferson or J.J. McCarthy? 100% of the people would have said Justin Jefferson. Nobody would put him on this season. Right? One of the worst seasons the worst season he's ever had. Mm-hmm. The fact that I love that stat you brought up, the J.J. McCarthy versus Carson Wentz, and then what was Justin Jefferson's trajectory. Mm-hmm. It's a little troubling, right? Clearly, Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell fixed him, veteran, mind, knows what's going on. Was able to do the same thing with Carson Wentz, veteran, mind, knows what he's doing. I got to put a lot of this on J.J. McCarthy. Like, that's the problem. So he's not either thinking quick enough, he doesn't understand how to think quick enough, or he doesn't really trust what his eyes are seeing, right? That's the tough thing about quarterback. You have to trust what your eyes see. The minute you know a route's supposed to be there, you got to let it go. Like, I watched Matt Stafford throw to Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams kind of does like a stutter post and then a corner, but he broke it off as a bender. Matt Stafford threw the ball. In Brady, it's a 2-ball. It's a 3-ball. He threw a 3-ball, right? So like a curve changeup type, and it was like a loopy, slow ball. And he brought up that if Matthew Stafford throws it harder, Devontae Adams can't get to it because he's not out of his break yet. Matthew Stafford kind of threw it knowing, okay, I know he's going there. I'm going to just put it up whether he takes it higher, whether he takes it flat. He can jump up in there and make this catch one-on-one with his DB because he's one-on-one and he's got to step on him. He then turns around, throws a dig route to Puka Nacua, throws an absolute fastball. Now, the next one he throws to, I don't know if you saw this one, Puka Nacua drops it. Like he's wide open. He could have been running for 15, 20 more yards, and he catches it and turns to look up the field, which you're not supposed to do. Look it in, tuck it, and then go. He looked up the field, and boop, ball drops out. Puka Nacua never drops balls. And that was one of those like, man, but Matthew Stafford, watching him go from a 2-ball to a 1-ball to a 3-ball just shows timing, right? He knows when to get the ball out of his hands, where he's going with the ball. J.J. McCarthy has to get fixed. And so that's what I wonder these next 3 games, now knowing, because before it was like, let's win games. We got to win games. Win as many games we can win. I still think Kevin O'Connell wants to win because at this point, so let's look at this, the way the Lions are. So the Lions, if they lose to the Vikings, probably are out. Packers, I don't think they can knock the Packers out unless the Packers lose 2-3. And the Vikings, we know, can't get in, period, because of the Bears win, which who would have put the Bears on this type of season?
Yeah.
But 9-8 feels so much better than 8-9, right? 9-8
yeah,
feels so much better with this quarterback.
Well, think about it. Yeah, because if you go 9-8, Ron, that means you won your final 5 games. That you may
with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, at 4-8, you're talking about replacing J.J. McCarthy, finding a veteran who can start next year. If you finish 5-0 with J.J. McCarthy, suddenly, I don't think there's even a competition in camp next year. Would you, Ron? If they finish 5-0, McCarthy has the job. That's how I would feel.
No, I think he still has. I think they still got to compete. I think they got you have to, yeah. Because which game did J.J. McCarthy go out? Was it the Bengals? Was his last game?
He didn't play the Bengals game, so he just played Falcons and Bears.
Falcons, he got hurt when he went out, right? So he was 1-1 to start his career off, and then he could finish. So he could finish a 6-1 quarterback if he wins his last 5.
Well, he'd be 7-4 overall. Because
what other games did he play?
Well, he beat Detroit. He lost to the Ravens. He lost to the Bears. He was 2-4 before he came back from the. Because
Darnold did the overseas stuff. Okay, it felt like he did way less games than that. So 7-4.
So to be 4-4 right now. 4-4 right now.
So 7-4. I still think 7-4. The problem is, Sam, like we remember the Falcons game. We remember some of these other games. And I think that's the reason why you have to bring another veteran in. I think he's going to come in as QB1, right? I think you would say come in, but it's like I think Kevin O'Connell's verbiage has to say we have to bring a veteran in maybe to be a true backup, just like we did with Carson Wentz. Like to maybe say Max Brosmer is not a true number 2 for us. And I think that's where that lies. I think Max Brosmer gets knocked down to 3. Like we were talking about, Max could be a backup for years to come, and I think he can. But I think Max Brosmer is the one that's going to be fighting for his job at 2. Like I think Max Brosmer is going to be the competition. I think J.J. McCarthy will be QB1 with like a veteran that could push him. I don't know who that is. I don't know if it's Marcus Mariota. I don't know if it, I don't know who that would be. You can't go draft another. Like they better not draft another quarterback to bring him in. Not like a first round, but like anybody that's left out there that you think because like all of a sudden Jalen Hurts type guys out there like the Eagles did. And you're like, oh shoot, let's go get him. No, it doesn't. That doesn't. The Minnesota Vikings cannot do that. You need a veteran, and I don't know who that's going to be. But the other thing I want to see this offseason though is more Josh McCown. I think Kevin O'Connell is doing everything for J.J. McCarthy, right? I think the quarterback's coach is just there to relay the information. I think at some point you got to take the training wheels off your coaching staff and let them coach up the guys that you want. Because Kevin O'Connell wants to be the QB guy. He wants to be the offensive coordinator. Let Josh McCown do that stuff. Let him do more of that. Let's let Wes Phillips be more like Eric Bieniemy, right? Let's let him get the play calling, but maybe you're Andy Reid. We know it's your offense, but you've given Wes Phillips the keys to the castle to call these plays. I don't know what that looks like. I do know Wes Phillips wants to be an offensive coordinator. I do know he wants to take over somewhere, whether it's, because I don't think it's ever going to happen here. He would have to go somewhere that has a actual spot where the coordinator calls the plays, which means you're probably following a defensive coordinator that gets a head coaching job, Brian Flores. Maybe, maybe Flores gets a head coaching job and he brings Wes Phillips with him as his offensive coordinator because he likes this offense. But I do feel like the problem, to put a bow on that, the problem is J.J. McCarthy. Like, he is the problem. There's a problem, Minnesota, and it's your quarterback. Like, it's not Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson could make the problem worse, and I think that's the thing people should be thankful for. Like, when they're under the Christmas tree this Christmas, right? You wake up, I don't know what time you're waking up, Sam, 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. I'm trying to debate on that because I have to work until, like, what time's our last, like, the game's not over till 6:30?
So
right?
3:30 game, right?
So probably 6:30,
ending,
6:45 maybe, as if it goes because like these games have been going fast. I don't know if you noticed that too. Like I don't know if it's because they run the ball and there's been like a lot of completions and not a lot of like dead time. They've been going really fast. Like one of the games was like 2 hours and 44 minutes because I time up when I leave and I base that off that 3-hour window. I've been getting killed a couple times of like, how are y'all already in? Like it's already 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Where did the last 5 minutes go? But when you look at this and you think about this team, that's going to be the key is what are they going to get? Like, what is the post game going to look like? Because on Christmas, again, 7 o'clock post game show, 6:45, 7 o'clock, right? I got to do the fan line probably till the wee hours. So 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's what I'm wondering is like, what is Kevin O'Connell thinking for this Christmas game? Because I think that's the one. Like this Giants game, I think we're like, it's the Giants. But this Christmas game, that's got to be the litmus test, right, Sam? Like that's got to be the one. Like, where are you going to look like on Christmas? Because you already beat the Lions once. You got Packers, you got Lions. That's kind of the litmus test to say, because these NFC East teams, you can't really say, okay, he's turned the corner. But the Lions, if he comes out and he's efficient again, and then the Packers, he's efficient, then yeah, maybe we can talk at that point. But that's where I got to see a 300-yard game here at some point. That's what I'm wondering. We have not seen one. Like if you had to pick between these last three, Sam, which is a 300-yard game?
Detroit's secondary, I think, is gettable. We just saw it. We saw what Stafford did to them. Cowboys, put up a lot on them as well. I think it's the Detroit game. I think that would. Now, I'm not. I think Packers would still feel better to win. Like if Green Bay has something at stake, if the division championship is on the line for them in that game, and you can knock them off, that would feel really good. You've already beaten Detroit. You already took care of that. If you beat the Packers, then you've beaten the whole division, and that would feel awesome going into the offseason. But I think that if we want to see a big McCarthy yardage game, maybe Detroit. Giants game could be one of those quick ones, Ron, where someone's running the clock out at the end. Hopefully the Vikings. I don't know.
Yeah, because they're going to run the ball. I feel like they're going to run the ball a lot on the Giants. Like, and if Christian Darrisaw decides to, shut it down as well, because we're like, let's say Tuesday, so Wednesday we'll start to get some of these injury report decisions. Because we know Grenard's already shut down now. He's having surgery. I think Wednesday we'll get a better idea. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll get a better idea. Because, again, if you're sitting back and you're in this weather and the season's over and you're waking up and you barely can walk, do you want to go play 3 more games knowing that you're a starter anyway, like next year? So that's where, because people are like, oh, man, they get paid to play. Yeah, but human nature kicks in about your body. Like, it hurts. And you're like, not saying I'm playing for nothing, but I'm playing for, like I'm going to get paid. So the season's over. Usually you actually see, remember back in the day, you would see like starters start and then you would see backups come in because the coaches wanted to give the rookies some opportunities to see who they have too. So we'll see some of that too. Do we see more Xavier Scott? Do we see maybe Ty Felton at receiver a little bit? Can we get Miles Price at receiver? I need to start that. I need to tweet every day until Miles Price gets a catch. Just this is day one of Miles Price needs to be at receiver for one of these games. This is day 2. I probably can't keep up with it. I don't know how people do that stuff. This is day 3. I see people be like, this is day 336 of me trying to get Sydney Sweeney to say hi to me. Like, dude, let it go. She's not. That
wasn't you. I thought that was you, Ron. That wasn't you.
Nope, that's not my burner account. I think that's a Reefs. That might be a Reefs burner.
Got it.
That's right. We got the Daily 3 coming up. That's 3 questions, about a minute each today, and we'll do that after a short pause. Now it's time for the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, about a minute each. Take it away, Sam.
Ron, let's get an update on your old organization where you coach, the Indianapolis Colts. They brought in Phillip Rivers, Old Man Rivers, to start last Sunday. Almost got a win. But what was your reaction to Rivers coming back to the NFL after 4 years off?
Well, the fact that the other team couldn't score a touchdown helped them big time. He did throw his first touchdown. His first couple throws, I don't know if you saw them, they were ducks. When he had to move in the pocket, it looked bad. Like he was falling on the ground. Nobody touched him. He looks like a 44-year-old guy. Like, imagine what I feel like that's what I would. Well, no, I don't think. I play basketball every day. So I'm also 232 pounds. Like, he looks big now. Different lifestyle. He's a high school coach. He's not sitting up like hooping every day and working out. I don't think I would look that bad, but I know my knees would look stiff. I know I wouldn't have like knee drive, but I definitely would be able to catch like a 1 step and get you 1 or 2 yards, maybe more, because I think I could stiff arm a guy. But yeah, he looked good. He looked okay for he's 44, so I think he looked like what we expected. Brain was still sharp, still was able to get the ball out quick, still was talking a little bit to guys. But yeah, still had the same like aggressive celebration when he threw a touchdown. So it was good to see him out there. It's just funny that somebody joked that the NFL insurance runs out after 5 years from your last game. And so he was right up into it was hitting that 5 years. So now he'll get another 5 years of the NFL insurance. So I don't know. Not say he did that on purpose, because nobody could have, suggested Daniel Jones and Achilles. Dude's made $244 million over his career. He's fine with healthcare, I'm pretty sure. But it's funny that it worked out that way, where he'll, now he's an active player. He gets another active year. So he gets to add to his pension. So that's year 17 now, or 18 to his pension. He'll be able to have 5 more years of that insurance with those 11. I think he has 11 kids and a grandkid. So maybe he'll get all his kids out the house before his insurance runs out.
Cheaper by the dozen. I think he also has to delay his Hall of Fame induction, though.
By 5 years. By 5 more years. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which maybe makes him an easy first ballot guy now. He doesn't have to go up against the Eli's and some of the other people.
Right.
Because those guys will be in. So maybe that was another ploy. Like, I don't want to deal with Eli, because Eli's not in yet either. And so, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Will the Chiefs be able, Ron, to reignite their dynasty after Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL and LCL? He'll have to recover. I assume he'll try to get back for next year, maybe early season, mid-season. But will the Chiefs be the same? Will that dynasty come back after they've missed the playoffs and Mahomes got hurt?
So we're talking 12 months. So let's stick to that timeline, right? That means Mahomes is not going to be back to week 15. I don't think so. Not next year. I think so 2027, potentially, but it's going to be without Travis Kelce. Who his receiver is going to be at that point? Are they going to draft a guy like Dante Moore to sit behind Patrick Mahomes for, does Patrick Mahomes play 5-6 more years after that and try to play into his 40s? He's made a ton of money. So, because the money he's making now is not like these other guys that played to their 40. He got a $450 million contract. I think he plays. I don't know how many years are left on it, but I feel like he plays that out and he's done. I think he maybe renegotiates to sign some guys, load up, because that's the only other way he's going to win now. He's going to have to sign guys and load up and take less money. The salary cap's going to go up, but no, I don't think the dynasty's going to be reignited. I know Brady did it after his injury, and they talked about that. Brady came back and won some more. I don't know is Andy Reid going to still stick around for that? Is he going to wait for Patrick Mahomes to come back, which is 2 more years, to kind of be back to where he's at? Because he's not a statue. Brady was a statue. Mahomes is not a statue. He likes to run around and move and make you miss and do all this crazy stuff. But I will say he works out super hard. We saw him on the Netflix doc. He does a ton with his trainer, so maybe he's one of those freak athlete quarterbacks that can come back quicker, like you're saying, like an Adrian Peterson. But no, I don't think they're going to reignite the dynasty, in my opinion.
I've seen it, published in the past couple of days. Tom Brady went basically a decade in between Super Bowls. The Patriots were ruled to be done. They had kind of a down stretch after their first 3 Super Bowls, and then he brought it back in his late 30s. So maybe there's a similar arc here with Patrick Mahomes. Last one. Trade rumors all over the place around Giannis Antetokounmpo. And some people are saying that he'd be a good fit on the Timberwolves. Ron, would you put together a big trade offer to bring Giannis to the Twin Cities?
Yeah, and I'm guessing Rudy Gobert would have to be a part of it. I would be fine with that. Like, I just don't like who are you willing to give up? And that's the key. Like Anthony Edwards, I feel like you need to keep. You definitely need to keep Nas Reed and Jay McDaniels. I'm okay with, like, I guess you kind of got to keep Julius Randle the way they're playing, but I don't know if you can keep Julius Randle and Giannis.
Right.
I just don't know if they can coexist. Like, does Giannis go to the 5 or does Julius Randle go to the 5 in that situation? We know Giannis is more of a 3-4. Julius could be your 5 and you play more like a Warriors type of game, small ball, not small ball, but a Warriors type of game where you have athletes out there. But I don't, like, you can't let Nas Reed and Jaden McDaniels go from the defensive perspective. If you could find a way to just get rid of Rudy Gobert and a bunch of other pieces and draft picks, I would do it. I just don't know if that's enough to get Giannis. Like, you got to kind of give up your future for Giannis. But we did see he is a winner, and he's a big, like, he can get to the lane at any point, and he's kind of unstoppable, an unstoppable train, which then clogs the lane up to let Anthony Edwards kind of roam and shoot, because his shooting, that mid range is that midi is nasty. So yeah, I would do it. I don't know. Do you see a package that could work?
I don't think the Wolves have enough available first-round picks to make the Bucks happy. I feel like the Bucks are going to be more focused on picks than they are players. So I think, yeah, it'd be Randall or Gobert. Randall would probably be the more logical one to go, but you've got to exchange the same money that for Giannis. So it would have to be a high salary guy, and I just don't think the Wolves have enough picks to entice them. That's the problem.
Right.
Also, the Wolves would be really good, and the picks wouldn't be that valuable. They'd be like the 25th pick of the draft. So I don't think it happens. But Ant and Giannis, that would be a title window for sure. That would
because Giannis won it with he won it with Chris Middleton and was it Holiday was the point guard, I think, at that time.
Was Drew Holiday? Was he? Yeah, was he there? And
I think it was Drew Holiday, because they never won it with Damian Lillard. Yep, Bobby Portis. So I feel like the Timberwolves would have the pieces with. I mean, Giannis is a superstar, just like Anthony Edwards. So you kind of have a big 2, and you treat it like OKC. They got Chet and they got Shea, so you would go Anthony Edwards and Giannis, and you don't try to go for a big 3. You just stick with your big 2 and say this is the 2 that can get us to the chip, because the Warriors are down, Houston Rockets are going to be in that, and then still OKC's show. Like, OKC it goes through them. Shea is finding new ways to get fouls. I heard that he walked into the arena and was granted 2 free throws before the game started. Like, it's just. It just makes no sense to some of the calls he gets, because he's falling and not being touched, and they're just blowing the whistle because they're like, oh, our king has fallen. Give him 2 free throws. It's like, what? And that's why I see why Jay McDaniels gets frustrated and, like, just wants to shove him or curse somebody out, because it's like, nobody touched you. Why are you falling to the ground? So it's this is not the OKC show, so I'm not going to go into my rant about that, because I think it's petty and it's annoying, but that's today's NBA. Ant is more like a Jordan. I feel like he doesn't flop, so he doesn't get those calls. Like, he doesn't. He tries to get them, but he's so strong, so big. Kind of like LeBron. LeBron doesn't get those calls either. Why? Because LeBron doesn't. He's starting to flop now, but he didn't flop early on. LeBron was running through like a train, and that's why he wasn't getting the calls. I think he's playing the game that the NBA wants them to play. Is, hey, you got to show me you got fouled, and then I'll blow the whistle, and that's why he's now called LaFlop, because the NBA has created that. But the Timberwolves don't have that on their roster right now. Their guys are playing hard, playing tough. And, it would be nice to see Anthony Edwards and Giannis. I would definitely watch those games all the time, because that seems like appointment TV. And then it's going to come down to them versus OKC, I think, or the Rockets. I think that 3 right there, I don't know who the 4th would be in that, but I think that would create the 3-way monster of the NBA right now. I mean, the Warriors, I still don't know what else, you would put out there, like the Nuggets. They always come out of nowhere sometimes at the end. So we'll see what it looks like. But I'm Ryan Johnson at Sam Ekstrom. Thank you guys for joining me today on the Ryan Johnson Show. Make sure you guys check out all of our postcasts and also the squad shows. The guys are, just throwing out absolute fire. And Thursday, I'm going to come back with some more statistical fire, but my 3-minute drill, I'll make sure I get into what J.J. McCarthy needs to do to beat the Giants. Have a great week, people.